Microphone checker, microphone checker.
Riggedy row, give me the gadzooks, here I go, so riggedy flame on, Geronimo, yo, I biggity burn, riggedy rubber when I blabber, great, I biggity make the wonder twins, reaction, face, it's crazy, I'm biggity breaking backs and busting lips.
Between John Murray and Brandon Rios, bout in an 11th round TKO in favor of Brandon Rios. It was for the WBA lightweight championship in favor of Murray if Murray won the belt, because Brandon Rios has lost the belt to scale, being that he weighed in like a pound and a half pound over the limit after weighing in 3 times. So pretty much, you know, watching this bout, I'm surprised that the bout went as long as it did. A lot of us who have predicted this fight didn't expect the fight to go for like 7 or 8 rounds, but it did go to round 11. And you know, looking at the fight, I was a bit surprised that Murray just came out and attacked it, and both of them were just going toe to toe from round to round. Pretty much that's how, you know, both fighters were able to sustain any type of offense, was just going toe to toe and throwing punches. And Brandon Rios, you know, and there were moments where John Murray was you know, landing some pretty decent shots and having pretty decent spurts, you know, early on in the fight. But Brandon Rios in like round 4 or 5, you know, began to get his rhythm and began to control the pace of the fight. And then round, like, I think it was round 6 is when, you know, Brandon Rios started to, you know, get him with that uppercut inside and busted his nose and his eye up real good, to the point to where, you know, his face was, you know, pretty much that Ric Flair crimson mask, you know, from the cage matches he had like in the 80s with Harley Race. His, you know, he had like a pure full-on like crimson mask from like the lower part of his face and from part of his eye, just from the uppercuts that he was taking on the inside. And you could kind of tell by looking at the fight, you know, and especially around like 3, that none of the punches that John Murray was throwing was even hurting Brandon Rios. You know, he's just, you know, he's kind of smiling at him and he's continuously walking forward, which has to be very intimidating for a fighter. You know, when you're kind of teeing off a bit and you're walking forward and you're doing what is strong towards you, and you're landing on your opponent, and your opponent's in front of you just smiling at you and continuously walking forward. So, but you know, he hung in there, you know, for 11 rounds, which kind of surprised me and kind of caught me off guard a bit. I didn't expect him to last past 10 rounds myself. But just overall, and then there were moments in the fight to where Brandon Rios did look a bit lethargic in certain spurts. And it seemed as if he kind of hurt his right hand in that 10th round, because he kind of, you know, brought it back real fast, and then, you know, he was throwing very few right hands with authority in that round. Maybe he hurt his hand or shoulder, but it seems as if he hurt his right hand in that round. I'm not too sure. But overall, pretty much, you know, we all know Brandon Rios lost the belt to Scales. And not only did he lose the belt to Scales, but now he's going to be moving up to a competitive weight class at 140, one of the most talent-rich divisions in boxing. He's a top-ranked fighter. Timothy Bradley's a top-ranked fighter. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Timothy Bradley. I would love to see that fight next for Brandon Rios if, you know, the fight is doable. If he needs like a fight to prepare him or get himself in a few eliminators before Bradley takes that fight with him, then that's good and dandy. But, you know, I would like to see him fight Timothy Bradley. We'll see. We all knew, you know, with his last fight that his days at 135 were probably numbered. So, you know, and he's a big guy. So, you know, his body's growing. He's grown out of the weight. So, you know, so more likely he's going to be at 140, and there's a lot of fights at 140 for Brandon Rios. And I'm sure that he's going to have more energy at 140. And I think he's going to carry some power up to 140, and probably have more power in his punches that he'll throw for an accumulative effect, compared to what he had tonight. And his punches that he threw tonight did have, you know, an accumulative effect. But, you know, it just seemed as if he didn't have, you know, many energetic spurts. And he did have his offensive spurts, but he just didn't seem as energetic as he usually is. And then, you know, at the end of the fight, you know, he did seem to be kind of sluggish when he kind of put his arms up and ran around the ring. But, you know, he's going in against a fighter that didn't really have the power to hurt him, or do much of anything effective. He's fighting a fighter that stood in front of him, and he overpowered him overpowered him. He walked him down and he took him out. So overall, good fight for Brandon Rios. And as far as the WBA lightweight championship is concerned, we all know, I believe the mandatory is Kevin Mitchell. I wouldn't mind seeing Kevin Mitchell and John Murray get it on again, or Kevin Mitchell against another, you know, mandatory to fight for the WBA championship, because with Kevin Mitchell, sorry about that, Kevin Mitchell, he can't leave the UK because of, you know, I guess because of legal situations. So we'll see what happens with the WBA lightweight championship. But anyway, peeps, I'm out of here. That's Distance, and on to the main event. Peace.
Bam, come on, bam.
Alright,
Come on, bam.
1, 2,
Come on, bam.
just
Come
feel
on,
it.
bam.
One more time. This is for fucking Gerald right here. Yo, y'all can't do it like Tay do it. I can't stop, won't stop like a Ford Explorer without the brake fluid. Spinning out on 5 stones with the shake to it, leaving all the